Oh my gosh, Amelia looks so much like you. Like just
Really?
seeing you, like yes, yes, I see like
Oh
her
my
expressions.
gosh.
Yeah.
That's the biggest compliment I can receive because I have two
Mhm.
older sons that are clones of their father. And I still see like, bits and pieces of him and her, but like she's definitely the most like me out of the three. And I am just soak it up because like I've been waiting for it for so long. I'm like, finally.
Right, right. So you have how old are the boys?
So I have a 15-year-old son and a 12-year-old son. So freshman in high school and sixth grade.
You're just like in
Yeah.
the thick of all the
Oh
things. And then
yeah, we
Amelia's the
are.
baby.
Amelia's the baby and the only girl, so she's like
Mhm.
extra special. And this past year, she's become even more extra special. So my poor boys, like I feel
Yeah.
bad for them. They kind of get overshadowed by a lot of this stuff, but we're just trying. We're all trying, and they get it. They're old
Mhm.
enough. They understand like the magnitude of the situation. Amelia doesn't know like every nitty-gritty detail of
Mhm.
FA, but the boys do because they're capable of Googling. So
Mhm.
they know everything. They actually were going into the first appointment that we had for Amelia was like a family visit. And they
Mhm.
knew more than the doctor did at that point because they had researched, the whole night before, and nobody knows what FA is, not even doctors. So, well, maybe they've heard of it in med school, like, in a little paragraph somewhere, but most
Mhm.
of them don't remember what it is. So they were educating the doctors.
Oh my gosh. Brother
Which you have to
advocate.
do in the rare disease world quite a bit, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Okay, well, I want to get definitely into that, but
Yeah.
I definitely want to hear first about like Amelia, her just if you could just describe her for the general world because I like just
Yeah.
the way that
Hmm.
you share her on social media. I'm like, oh my gosh, this girl has got such a personality. So I
Hmm.
just want to
For
hear more from
sure.
you.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is just like a pure like spark of joy. She is so
Hmm.
spunky and, a little mischievous. She's very funny. I feel like
Hmm.
that's how she copes with difficult situations. She kind of
Hmm.
diffuses everything with humor.
Hmm.
Um, which I mean is comforting for her, but is very comforting for us. So she knows how to make light of like any moment. So she, everything you see online is just 100% her. She's just effortlessly wonderful and funny and creative and,
Yeah.
imaginative and just full of excitement.
Hmm.
She's
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah. So tell me about kind of like the journey into your diagnosis.
Yeah.
When did this all kind of start?
Yeah, so she had a perfectly normal early childhood,
Hmm.
met all of her milestones as a baby. It was when she was around like 4 that I noticed just that she didn't have a great stamina. Like she'd get fatigued pretty easily, and her legs would hurt. So we
Hmm.
took a big family vacation after COVID kind of let down a bit. That involved a lot of walking, and we didn't bring a stroller. We were kind of debating. We're like, she's almost 5. Like, we'll be all
Hmm.
right. Like, she's capable of walking. She could not at all. Like, she could not keep up. And I just remember thinking, and this was just like little whispers of worry at this point, like nothing too extreme that I was like, something's clearly wrong. It was just
Hmm.
these little seeds that were planted along the way. Um, so that trip, we were carrying her for the most part. Her legs hurt so bad. She was so tired, but it was hard to determine whether or not she was, the pampered only girl baby of the
Hmm.
family that was used to being held or like something was going on. And I'm the type of mom that worries about like everything. So my
Yeah.
husband was like, she's fine. Like you worry, yada, yada, yada. But just things got progressively worse after then. She started falling quite a bit. So she was in kindergarten when this happened. She fell on the playground at recess and broke her hand. And I just remember thinking, like, wow, I'm surprised that's the first bone she's broken, considering how often she falls. Um, so fast forward about a year, I brought it up to her pediatrician at her physical, and I asked for an evaluation from physical therapy just to see, I still didn't truly think anything that serious was going on. I was like, oh, maybe it's an
Yeah.
inner problem. Like she has some balance and coordination issues, fatigues. I wasn't sure. I had never heard of ataxia. By the way, she has something called Friedrich's ataxia. I should have probably started with that. So that prompted an evaluation. with with physical therapy, and that's when things got kind of scary because they noticed a lot of other things that we hadn't noticed. Like she
Hmm.
has really high arches in her feet, some signs of scoliosis and nystagmus, which is like the kind of flickering in her eye that can indicate
Hmm.
neurological
Hmm.
symptoms. So we hadn't seen any of that, and now I can't like not see the nystagmus. I'm like, how did
Yeah.
I not do that? So she also has a head tilt. So all of those pieces on their own aren't concerning, but like together they were kind of, creating the puzzle of her diagnosis. So they called in for a neurology appointment, but we couldn't get in for several months. I think this was
Hmm.
like November and she couldn't get in until January. So we were like, okay, because again, we still didn't think it was that serious, because we didn't know anything about hereditary ataxias at that point.
Hmm. Yeah.
So then the next week, we went to our weekly physical therapy. She was starting weekly physical therapy that next week. And our physical therapist was like, no, you need to go to the ER right now. Like, you can't wait till January. We need to make sure she doesn't have a tumor on her like cerebellum that's causing
Yeah.
issues with balance or a brain bleed or a stroke or anything that's putting her in immediate danger. So we went that night right after our first PT session to the emergency room. So the neurologist on call at the ER that evening took a look at her notes and was really interested in the family history of ataxia. And
Yeah.
he initially thought that maybe it was a form of spinocerebellar ataxia that just came from my side of the family because that's autosomal dominant. So you only
Okay.
need one gene. We had written in her notes that my dad later in life, he passed 10 years ago, so we'll never truly know what was going on with him, but he developed ataxia later in life. So we always thought he was drinking, but he wasn't.
Mhm.
So he would like fall into walls, and he actually had like some flickering of his eyes too. So that
Mm.
was noted in her chart that there was a family history of ataxia, without a diagnosis. So and he lived a long full life and was fine. Actually, he did pass from heart-related complications, which is, another issue that people with FA deal with. But again, we'll never know what happened with my dad. But it just so happened when he did the ataxia panel that FA was also on that panel because it was testing for all sorts of attacks, hereditary
Mm.
ataxias. So we got that testing done and we knew the magnitude of the situation at that point. And the neurologist explained that some forms of hereditary ataxia are stable and that other forms are progressive and fatal. So we knew what was to come. Like we knew that if she were to test positive for any of these, that it was, a devastating diagnosis. So the testing was only supposed to take 4 weeks to get back, but it took 12 weeks. And it was right over the holiday. So I was like, we
Hmm.
couldn't eat, we couldn't sleep. Like it was just like,
Yeah.
spiraling,
Yeah.
thinking worst case scenario. Every time my phone rang, I would jump in my seat because it's just a like gruesome point in our lives.
Hmm.
So he called 12 weeks later. I was in the car. I'm gonna cry. I was in the car with my boys, and he told me it was Friedreich's ataxia, and I knew exactly what Friedreich's ataxia was because obviously, even though he instructed me not to Google hereditary ataxias, I did Google hereditary
Hmm.
ataxias, and Friedreich's ataxia is the most common hereditary ataxia. So that's where I found most of the information on hereditary ataxias, and I was finding people online and following their stories, and so I knew probably more than he did at that point when he told me that it was Friedreich's ataxia. And my boys were in the car with me, like, and I just let out a sound, when you find out
Hmm.
about the diagnosis. And they knew what that
Yeah.
meant. I didn't even have to say anything. So, that's how we found out. And then I feel like we've been in a dream ever since.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not something like I mean, just hearing you tell the whole story, and I appreciate you going through that because I feel like every time I talk about Gilbert's story, there's something about like the neural pathways when you're describing the whole thing, like you kind of like relive it a little bit.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
I totally get that, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you like going through that because it is hard to talk
Yeah.
about like
Of
Like,
course,
let
yeah.
me just run you through like one of the most traumatizing times of my
Yeah,
life, you know?
but it's
Like,
important. I feel
yeah.
like I'm a big advocate for feeling your feelings. So
Hmm.
it's like I'm not trying to shy away from it at all,
Yeah.
ever. Like I don't, if I cry, I cry. But I think
Yeah.
that's healthier than holding it all in, you know?
Yes.
I cry a
Yeah. Oh my
lot.
gosh, me too. I was like, man, if we were doing this like recording like 2 days previous, like I couldn't even open my eyes the other morning because
Oh
they were so
no,
fucked up.
I'm
But
sorry.
and
Yeah, we
there's
have
a
those
lot of
days.
tears.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are.
And
But honestly, like I have to cry. When we were on Rare at
hmm
Sea, I didn't cry for like 4 days because, we were with people. I couldn't really.
yeah.
And it was like, I think I just need a good cry. Like that's
Hmm.
what is wrong with me right now.
Yes, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
it
So
is.
it's
It's like
good to
you need
cry.
to.
Everybody should cry.
Yeah. Hearing you talk about the whole story though, it's just like it's so frustrating how common that kind of like we're waiting for this. We see these
Yeah.
signs, but we don't, we're thinking maybe it's just this or it's, let's do a PT referral. Like, I
Yeah.
just wish like we could, I know like, you know, it's rare disease, so it's rare and that's not
Yeah.
always going to be the thing, but it's like, well, why can't we just run the test or why can't we do
Yeah.
the earlier thing earlier
Yeah.
instead of, because I totally get that. Like, yeah, neurology appointments take forever to book out if you're
Yeah.
just doing some kind of like
Yeah.
follow up or initial thing and
Yeah.
nobody knows how severe it might be.
Yes.
And to have to get to the point where somebody finally says like, no, we need to
Yeah.
expedite this.
Yeah. And thank goodness she
Yeah.
did. Like we would
Hmm.
have waited till January
Yep.
had she not say you need to go. And actually kudos to the neurologist that was on call that evening because it was the very
Hmm.
first test that was ran.
Yeah.
People sometimes this takes upwards of 3, 4, 5 years to get diagnosed with FA, especially older individuals because it's more
Yeah.
of like younger children. So people that have late onset FA, they can go a decade without a diagnosis. So, I mean, I was
Yeah.
really impressed with him. Not that I wanted that news, but I was impressed that we got there as quickly as we did
Hmm. Yeah.
after
That's
talking to
true.
people because it felt like eternity in those 12 weeks that we were waiting.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it is nice. There are definitely people along the journey that
Yeah.
we feel similarly, where it's like, wow, I'm really glad that that nurse asked for this
Yeah.
thing or that this doctor happened to be on call. Like you feel like,
Yeah.
okay, there's these like guardian angels or
Yeah,
something,
the stars kind of align in those
Hmm.
moments. I know I always think about that with that neurologist that was on call because we still keep in touch with him. He
Hmm.
comes to every one of Amelia's neuromuscular appointments, though he's not her doctor anymore,
Yeah.
but he's around the hospital, so he'll pop in and we're close with him and her PT that night that sent her to the hospital that evening. Like, had we been assigned any other PT at
Hmm.
Children's Hospital, I feel like this past year would have been very different for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So then where are you guys at kind of right now? I mean, we definitely need to talk about Rare at Sea because that
Yeah,
was incredible. And I was like, what is that?
you have
Like
to come.
I cannot believe this is a thing.
I
Um,
know. You have to
but
make fun, life fun.
yeah,
We have to just embrace all of the great moments that we still have because there are so many good ones still. So if we can
yeah,
just focus on that, I feel like that was Rare at Sea. It's just like celebration and community and just like togetherness.
yeah. Okay, well then let's talk about that first. So how
Okay,
did
fine.
you
You
find
talk about
yeah, how did you find out about it and
Yeah.
like who was on it? Like who did you
Yes.
meet? Yeah.
Yeah. So, there are two different podcast hosts that came together to
Hmm.
form this Rare at Sea. It was Kyle and Sean of Two Disabled Dudes, and they both have FA. Have you heard of them?
I've heard of them, yes.
Okay, okay, they're wonderful. So I heard about it through them because we're, really involved in the FA community, and I listen to
Mhm.
their podcast religiously. So, I heard about it from them, but then Effie Parks has a podcast called Once Upon a Gene. Have you heard of that one?
Yes, I think I've
Yeah,
heard about it. Like it's popped up now,
yeah.
probably because like you've
Rare
reposted
at
things and
Sea.
I've seen,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and I'm like,
yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
okay, there's yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so they came together and they were like, we just need to do something big and great and, something that can bring us just a glimmer of happiness.
yeah. Hmm.
Um, and it was just wonderful. Amelia made a new little best friend that has FA. So they were together from morning till night the entire cruise. And, they're FaceTiming every day since we've been back. So it's just like they need these relationships. Like Amelia has so many friends at school, but I worry like about the future. Like, who's going to hang around? Like,
Hmm.
that's the reality of it. I hope they all do because she's such an incredible person to be around, but kids can be jerks. So
Hmm.
I I think these relationships within the community or within, just even the rare disease community are going to be so important
Yeah.
further on in life. So I'm like really fostering this, trying to do as much as I can it within the FA community and the rare disease world, just to find her those connections. Because it's nice she doesn't have to explain herself.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when she's with friends, like neither of them do. They just kind of help each other. Her little friend
Mhm.
Elizabeth was a little bit more able-bodied than Amelia, so she was kind of like being her crutch and walking her along the beach, and they were just having a great time. And she didn't ask like, "Why do you walk funny? Why is this happening?" It's like they just have such a deep-seated understanding, and they don't need to explain anything to each other. So.
Yeah.
It was really great. It just was so great for her. I'm not much of the cruising type I discovered on this trip. Like I love to travel, but like I don't know. Being stuck on a boat with like a bazillion people, yeah.
Yeah.
I could pass on that, but the rare disease portion made it incredibly worth it. And Amelia's experience was so great that we'll do it again.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And I like hearing you talk about the connection she has with her friend now because it's almost like you're describing like what happens I feel like with like the parents in the rare disease
Yeah,
community, right? Like I
absolutely.
am texting every day, like I'm on Instagram, not
Yeah.
because I'm like there. I sometimes I'm scrolling, but most of the time it's because I'm talking to other rare moms
Yeah.
because like that level of understanding of like you don't
Yes.
have to explain stuff, like you just
Oh.
get it. It's so nice to hear that like that happens at a kid level
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
wonder about that for Gilbert when he's older too,
Yeah.
right? Like he's a
Yeah.
baby, but
Yeah.
you know the experience of being in elementary school, middle school, high school, like what's that like when you have a rare disease, because we're
Yeah.
living it through the parent perspective, but seeing it through the eyes of our children. So that, yeah, that's
Yeah.
really, I really like that she had that opportunity. You
Yeah.
guys are still
Me
staying in
too.
touch.
Me too.
Yeah.
I know. I kind of like gloss over the importance of having those connections as a parent, but that is, that's equally as important. It really like you just get rid of all the fluff and you go like right to the
Hmm.
core. You don't even have to explain yourself. You're just like peeling back those layers and it's just such a
Hmm.
mutual deep-seated understanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the FA world, we call each other family with a capital FA, and it
Mm,
truly feels like that. Like I feel like I've met a ton of just like long lost cousins,
yes.
I have like
Yeah.
genuine love for all of them, like I do my family.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In Barth syndrome, like a lot of the like Barth brothers, because it's like
Earth
boys
Brothers.
typically. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's your Barth brothers.
I love
Um,
it.
yeah. So what is the FA community like? Is there a foundation or are there multiple
Yes.
foundations? Like, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there's the National Ataxia Foundation that covers all sorts of ataxias, but there is an organization called FARA, the Friedrich's Ataxia Research Alliance, so
Okay.
curafa.org, that covers just Friedrich's ataxia. So this past year was our first, or this past October was our first event that we attended.
Hmm.
Which was Ride Ataxia. So they do races all across America, different cities, to raise money. And then we went to the Friedrich's Ataxia Research Symposium in
Cool.
Philadelphia in October. And that was like our first experience within the community. And that weekend was, I'm not even kidding, the most magical weekend of my life because I've never felt that way with a group of people. Like it was the most emotional experience of my life, without a doubt, just being
Yeah.
around them.
Was it just like you felt like seen, or you felt like you could like there was more like yeah, like tell me about that.
Yeah.
Like what was
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, just seen and like I wasn't alone,
Hmm.
because it's isolating. Like I don't know how people did it before social media and before these get-togethers. Like
I
how
don't
did
know.
children do it? They're so isolated, you know?
Hmm.
So it was just great and to see so many people come together and like this has become all of their life mission, because
Hmm.
children, obviously their entire world. So everyone is so invested in this cause, and it's just amazing to be a part of this group.
That's good. Yeah, we have Barth Syndrome Foundation does like a conference every 2 years.
Yeah,
Everyone says the same thing, like just being able to go to the conference, connecting with
yeah,
families, meeting the scientists, like it's very like fulfilling because yeah, like you said, like you don't feel alone and you feel like, okay, I'm with my people who get this.
yeah. These are my
Um,
people. 100.
yeah, so like in terms of like where research and funding and everything is for FA, like kind of where clinical trials, medications, like what's the landscape?
So right now, there's one approved treatment called omavloxolone for 16 and up, and it
Okay.
is in clinical trial for children under 16. So Amelia is involved in that out of CHOP in Philadelphia.
Hmm.
So she's actually in the last cohort of the dosing trial. So she's 100% on the medication. They just opened the placebo-controlled study. So there's that. I should probably go into what Friedreich's ataxia actually is so I can explain more
So
of
true.
the
I know,
medications.
right? We're just like making assumptions of like,
I know. I'm
yeah,
like, yeah, you guys know, right? You know this incredibly rare disease. Come on, get with it. Um, So Friedreich's ataxia is a change on the FXN gene. It's usually caused, 95% of people with FA have something called a GAA trinucleotide repeat expansion.
Mhm.
So the GAA, the trinucleotide kind of gives instructions on how to produce like proteins. So
Okay.
the FXN gene produces a protein called frataxin. And frataxin works in the mitochondria to help produce energy by getting rid of iron within the cell.
Okay.
Um, so when you don't have enough frataxin, the cells are prone to oxidative stress and damage
Hmm.
and cell death.
Yeah.
So that's the issue. So the drug that Amelia is on and that's approved right now for 16 and up, the omavloxolone, um, reduces oxidative stress. So it doesn't do anything to like replace the frataxin. It's by no means a cure, but hopefully it will buy us a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So some other drugs that are in the works right now, there's frataxin replacement therapy called nomlabofusp. I'm gonna like butcher that.
Right.
Nomlabofusp. It's
These
a fun
names.
word to
I'm
say.
like,
Like, why did you name it that?
right. How did we
Nomla,
come up with this?
Nomla. They call it Nomla. That's easier.
Okay.
So that is frataxin replacement, but it does not cross the blood-brain barrier. So what
Okay.
is impacted the most are cells that require a lot of energy
Hmm.
in FA. So the cerebellum in your brain, your heart, and your pancreas. So the
Okay.
cerebellum, when it's affected, is what's causing the lack of coordination and,
Yeah. Like
issues with
balance.
movement. Yeah, fine motor,
Hmm.
gross motor, tracking of your eyes, speech, swallowing, all those things. And then your heart is also affected. So a lot of these individuals will develop something called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which we actually found
Yeah.
Amelia has. Oh, is that
Yeah.
what Gilbert has?
Gil Gilbert has a different type of cardiomyopathy, but
Okay, okay,
hypertrophic I think can sometimes show up in Barth syndrome.
okay.
There's
Gotcha.
lots of variances in terms of the cardiomyopathy, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, I know the word
You're like,
cardiomyopathy.
got that one. Isn't it fun learning all these scientific terms? I had no idea I'd be a scientist someday.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so she actually has that, and that's
Okay.
usually what it accounts for 80% of premature death in the FA population is the heart disease that they
Yeah.
develop. So, and then the pancreas, when that's affected, can cause diabetes, which it seems to be less prevalent than the cardiomyopathy, like a lot, especially when you're diagnosed younger. Um,
Hmm.
the hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is usually there. I feel like I'm going in like a circle to like tell you everything.
No, you're fine.
Because
I'm
I
following.
want to I want to go off on a tangent again. So there's varying degrees of FA. So it,
Yeah.
it has to do with how many GAA repeats you have. So
Okay.
so anything over 600 is considered a severe case. And Amelia has like 963 on one gene and like 1100 and something on the other. So the more GAA repeats you have, the earlier you're diagnosed, typically, and the faster the disease will progress and the more severe symptoms you'll develop. So these people
Mhm.
with these high GAA repeats are the ones that are getting diagnosed early in life. If you have less GAA repeats, those are the ones that have like later onset.
Okay.
So it's not as severe. It's still, I mean, it's obviously still a, detrimental condition having late onset. But if you're diagnosed after 25, I don't think it impacts your life expectancy.
Yeah.
Um, but, you know, before the average life expectancy for somebody with FA is 37, but this is taking like everybody into account, like the late onset, early
Mhm.
onset. So usually these kids that are diagnosed are living into their 20s. Um, so back to NOMLA, which is the
Mhm.
frataxin replacement
Yeah.
to cross the blood-brain barrier. So it's not having an effect on any of the neurological symptoms of FA, but it could be used as a good heart drug someday, which, that accounts for 80% of premature death. So that would be wonderful. And then there are a couple gene therapies in the work. So there's one,
Okay.
it's called LX2006, and that's the one that addresses the cardiomyopathy and delivers a functional FXN gene to the heart. So it's just administered intravenously, and it will help the heart. That doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier. So gene therapy, at least at this point, it's kind of a one-shot deal. Like
Yeah.
oh, you don't get a redo on gene therapy. You do it once and that's your only shot. So there's another one that just was administered to the first patient that takes a dual route. So it's an injection into the cerebellum and
Mhm.
intravenously to address both cardiac and neurological effects of the disease. So it will deliver
Okay.
the gene at once because you only get one shot. You can't do it
Yeah.
again. So that one, we're just like gritting our teeth waiting, to hear
Yeah.
the results of that one. So only one person's been that's been administered to one person. And then there's another study out of Australia right now that, and I'm not a scientist, but I'm going to try to explain this one to the best of my ability, how I was explained, how somebody explained it to me. So it takes the GAA repeat and condenses it so that your body can read it as normal and produce its own frataxin. That would be amazing. That
That
one's
would be
cool,
great.
right? That sounds
Yeah.
great. So I'm very interested in that one. If they open up pediatric trials, I think, and Amelia's done with this study, I think we'll probably head to Australia and
Yeah.
try that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's good to hear that there's lots of research happening and that there
yes,
are like some options and that there are even more promising things in the works.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
that's good. Yeah. I mean, I love the sound of that, like shrinking the repeats.
I know it sounds so good, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
I have no idea how it does that, but
Yeah.
um, let's go. Like,
Mhm.
I'm ready.
I'm on
I'm
board.
ready. Put me on a
Yeah.
plane.
Mhm. Well, and like one of the things I think that in with everything that you know we all go through with rare disease and like the scary stuff about life expectancy and about decline and about heart stuff is very scary because right like it's your heart like it's
Yeah,
got to pump the
yeah,
blood.
yeah.
um it is nice to know that there are like research seems to be accelerating the
Yes.
like gene therapies and cell therapies things that are coming up
Yeah.
like when we talked about Gilbert's diagnosis with our cardiologist, she was like, look, like 25 years ago, there wasn't, really, there weren't any options for birth syndrome. But, you know, 25 years in the future, like,
Yeah.
we are on a pretty good trajectory in terms of like the things that are becoming available and where science and research are headed. So
Yes.
that is, I think, one of the glimmers of hope that I see. Like, okay, like, being in the rare community, I'm seeing all these different diseases that are getting these cell and
Mhm.
gene therapies into clinical trials and getting things, so,
Yeah.
there is
Once
hope,
they
but
can
yeah,
find a mechanism, to
yeah.
deliver this gene, they can use that same mechanism for so many other diseases. So it's,
Hmm.
a win for another disease is a win for me, is a win for you. So,
Yeah.
rooting for all the rare diseases.
Hmm. Yeah. Exactly. It gives us, I mean, I think, yeah, for me, like hope that there's like, okay, like things could be moving in the right direction. I mean, even when we were first hospitalized when Gilbert was a baby, like I remember one of his nurses saying, like, look, like even 10 years ago, like I remember having to tell a lot of parents, like, look, just like go home and love on your baby. And she's like, and I'm not having to do that as much anymore. Like we do have options. And
Yeah.
so yeah. So I'm curious about like you had there's a post that you made about like kids saying things about like you don't look like you need a wheelchair
Yeah.
and stuff like that. How like in the time since you've got her diagnosis, like what has that how do you guys navigate that? What kinds of things like comments have come up? Like, yeah, how are you dealing with that?
Yeah, it's just a strange thing because I feel like we're all conditioned to like view wheelchair users as full-time wheelchair users. We don't
Hmm.
see much, and especially kids. You don't ever see a kid that dips in and out of a wheelchair.
Hmm.
So, it's a strange thing to navigate, and it's not just other kids that make comments. It's adults too. When we're
Hmm.
at the airport and they see Amelia, stand up to walk through security, they're like, "What are you doing in that chair?" Like, and I feel self-conscious too. I'm like, "I swear we're not faking it." And she
Right?
feels, like
Yeah.
so it is just a weird thing, but so she can walk. It's not pretty, but she can still walk.
Mhm.
She uses a walker at school.
Okay.
For whatever reason, she's very resistant to bring her wheelchair to school. Like the walker is fine, and
Hmm.
she's not insecure about that, but the wheelchair she's insecure about at school. Now, when we're out in public and we have to walk like a distance, then she'll take the wheelchair, and that's just fine. Um, but yeah, it's just funny. I mean, even with the walker, the kids are like, why? Like, they just don't understand. And I don't even know if it comes from like a malicious
Yeah.
place. Like, they're not like accusing her, but just having to talk about it in general when you're 9, like, she wants to just ignore it and pretend like it's not even a thing. So that it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard to just for her to bring it up. She's very resistant to opening up about it, even with me. Like, I have to kind of dig things out or just let it be and let her, process the way she needs to process. But it's usually me doing the talking when we're talking about it, and she's just kind of absorbing it. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a strange thing, and it's really most of the time she's in the wheelchair to conserve energy because fatigue is such a huge component of FA. You need energy in your mitochondria, and when that's depleted, you're out of energy, so
Hmm.
so she's exhausted all the time. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. She's doing the best she can. She's doing the best she can, and it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and what grade is she in right now?
She's in third
Third.
grade.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, and like, has she been at the same school the whole like
Yes.
since she was in
Thank
kinder? Yeah.
goodness.
And
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
which is like, yeah, good. But then also like, yeah, to experience that change and to
Yeah.
experience like having this diagnosis now, that that must be like on the one hand, like she has her friends that she knows and she's not having
Yeah.
to like she's not
Yes.
in a new
No.
place.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's like you were saying, like it doesn't necessarily come from a malicious place, but like
Yeah.
kids
Yeah.
don't have filters. And
No.
the older they get, then it does start, they have this like level of
Yeah.
self-awareness that they're building.
Yeah.
And
And
that,
that's
yeah,
really developed this past year, I feel like in
yeah,
third grade. Like she didn't really have that last year. But yeah, I mean, even just like others' curiosity carries, weight with
yeah.
her.
Well, and it's
But
hard because you don't have to explain yourself all the time, right? Like even as
yeah,
adults, like, it's just like
yeah,
it's like, well, why does it have to be a question? Like why, this is
yeah,
just what I'm doing,
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it does. I wonder if I wish we had like more of those conversations. I was a teacher before I left the classroom
Okay.
and like I feel like now with Gilbert, if I was in the classroom, I feel like I'd be having rare disease week at school and we would be
Yeah.
talking,
I
way
should
more
pitch that.
about,
Yeah.
yeah, like way more
Yeah.
about just getting
Yeah.
kids to understand like there's lots of different ways to get around. There's lots of differences seen and
Yeah.
unseen that we, have to be more aware of the things we say and how they might impact our
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
but I am glad that she's had the same group of friends because I mean, she hasn't lost any friends at this point. They're all still very close. And I don't even think they see it at this point, I mean, it is probably kind of strange for the school and all of her peers to see
Yeah.
somebody decline, because it's just so abnormal for, a kid to go through something like this. So they're all probably like, what is happening?
Hmm.
But I think they probably are more aware of it than Amelia is because she's in her head, she's a normal kid, she doesn't she doesn't see how abnormal she looks when she's moving around, but the others do. But I think she feels relatively normal when she's moving. So let's just
Yeah.
hope that sticks around for a while. I dread
Yeah.
middle school. And if it ever gets to a point where like just like the social pressures are too much, I will homeschool 100%.
Hmm. Yeah. There's
It's
just
a
like
lot.
a whole nother layer you have to think about with school and rare
Yeah.
disease. And yeah.
Yeah. Fortunately, our school has been very accommodating and they will do like just about anything we need. Amelia does miss quite a bit of school
Hmm.
because she feels awful. She just feels
Yeah.
awful, especially in the mornings. Like mornings are hard. It's it's just challenging navigating it. So, but I know like they have options for partial day and they
Hmm.
have options to send somebody to your home when it gets to that point from our district. We live in a great school district, which like that's why it kind of pains me to have to homeschool when
Yeah.
we live in such a good, I'm like we moved here for this district that's so wonderful and now like we're contemplating homeschooling. But we'll see. Only time will tell what we need to do. Right
Yeah.
now, she's okay. She's okay in school. And I don't think she realizes the impact that, just the social impact that school has on her. Like
Hmm.
she would like more than anything to just be home with me all day, but I don't think how much she knows how much she needs that interaction.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a good segue. So in terms of like your work, are you like a photographer by
Hmm.
like for work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, because I when I first like saw your account, I was like, this is like the most beautiful account
Oh,
because you have like all of your covers for your posts and things are all
oh,
these like incredible pictures. And I was
thank
like, who
you.
is this lady? Like, this is so cool. And like what a, a gift to have that like, you are able to like share your family's journey, but then, just have all
Yeah.
these wonderful pictures of your family.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, so can you tell me a little bit about like kind of the intersection of your like work and your talent and then like the travel and the documenting your family's journey like throughout, like kind of how that all goes together?
Yeah. I mean, I was, working and traveling before this came about, and now
Hmm.
I'm just kind of, it's kind of just becoming a part of it. But we do love to travel. We travel quite a bit. We're going to Japan in a couple weeks.
Cool.
And that is that's what I love to do. I love photographing my family and I love traveling. So it's just like that I will continue to do forever. And like what a great thing to have those documented memories. Like that it's like
Hmm.
my job has become even more important to me, not just for me, but I'm like I feel such a need to like just like, make these memories permanent for other people
Yeah.
too. So, but I'm very fortunate in what I do because my husband and I kind of work opposite shifts. So he's like 9 to
Hmm.
5 and I shoot and all day on the weekends and evenings. So I do need to edit during the day, but if Amelia is ever home, I'm flexible. So
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that. Like I don't know if we both had 9 to 5s, I don't know how we would do this with all the therapies. Amelia's in OT, PT, speech every week, numerous specialty appointments that she needs to go to. So this another star that aligned, in our life that, really worked out for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I relate to that because we both like both of us, my husband and I were both teachers. And then
Okay.
I left the classroom with our second born because I was like, this is just a lot to like,
Yeah.
but I was like, I'll probably go back,
Yeah.
within a year or two. And then we had Gilbert and I was like, nope,
Yep.
guess I'm not because yeah,
Yep.
like I think it is nearly impossible to try and manage two careers and rare
Yeah.
disease and additional like it's just
Yeah. It's a
yeah,
just
the
the rare
appointments
disease
alone.
is a full-time job,
Yeah,
100%. I mean, just
constant
navigating
coordination.
insurance and
Hmm.
clinical trials and appointments and this, it's just like just keeping track of all of it is like it's hard.
Yeah,
It's
it
hard.
is. I'm excited. Like it's exciting that you're going to Japan. Have you all been there before?
We've never been. We're
Okay.
going to Tokyo and Kyoto.
How do you feel like other countries are in terms of accommodating or not accommodating? Like,
Oh,
yeah,
I feel like it's about the same everywhere
yeah.
we go. I feel like, so it's funny. We used to travel with a stroller,
Hmm.
um, up until like last year, and Amelia just looked kind of ridiculous in a stroller because she's 9, so she was like 8 in a stroller.
Yeah.
That did not go over well in other countries. Like seeing a large child
Really?
in a
Hmm.
stroller, like we got so many looks and so many people like saying like you're too big for that. Like what are you doing? Get up and walk. And it's like
Hmm. Hmm.
honestly, that's why we switched to a wheelchair because the stroller is so much more comfortable, but
Yeah.
it's like they're not getting it. So it's tired of explaining myself, like the
Hmm.
wheelchair in itself is explanation. So
Yeah.
since we started using the wheelchair, everybody is so kind in other countries, especially I feel like, and obviously like when we're in Europe, like cobblestone isn't great.
Yeah, that
Um,
was my next
but
question. It's like,
it's
what about
better with the stroller on cobblestone. I feel like if you have
yeah.
like a jogger stroller, that's a little bit easier. Um, we actually haven't taken the wheelchair on cobblestone, so but I think Tokyo will be fine. Any major city is fine.
Yeah.
I'll report back on Kyoto. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll
Yeah,
find
because
out.
is that more like mountainous and like
Yeah.
shrines and
I think
rural?
it's
Yeah.
more a little more rural than Tokyo. Tokyo is a huge city. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we went to Portugal last spring break, the Algarve. So we went to like all the beaches around the Algarve, and there are stairs getting down from like the top of the cliff areas to the beach, and then there's like rocky cliffs everywhere. But my husband had to carry my daughter. I mean, it must have been at least like 5 flights of really sketchy stairs. Like every beach we went to, he would just have her on his back, which fortunately we can still do. And I always
Hmm.
think like that's one nice thing about her being a girl. Like hopefully she won't get too big for me to
Hmm.
be able to, lift her and transfer her into, wherever she needs to be. So right now we're doing a lot of piggybacks and we'll get her around. We're not
Yeah.
worried. We'll make it happen. We want her to have all these experiences. We're just trying to like jam a lifetime of experience into, a couple decades. So
Yeah.
we're just going hard.
Hmm.
Funny because my
Yeah.
husband was trying to slow me down before we got this diagnosis, and now he's like right with me, just
Yeah.
ramping the
Yeah.
travel.
I like
Well,
that approach. Yeah. I mean, because you've got to do like you got to do what you got to do to make
yeah,
sure that like you can give her the experiences that you want her
yeah.
to have. Yeah.
I just don't want to
Well,
have regret.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and then when there's so much unknown, sometimes it's like there's a couple other families I follow that they'll go on trips and it's always just like, look, it's hard like for various
yeah,
reasons for what, the equipment and things they have to bring and whatnot. But the sentiment is always take the trip,
yeah,
just like
yeah,
try because you want
yeah,
to be able to have that experience.
yeah.
Um, well, I guess like to kind of close out, like a couple things, like in terms of sharing your story online and sharing, kind of Amelia's journey, what do you hope people understand, or what do you want people to see when they see your family and see your story?
I just want more people to become aware of
Mhm.
Friedreich's ataxia. Because I feel like the more awareness there is, the more people will advocate for Friedreich's ataxia, which will fuel
Mhm.
funding, which will fuel research, which will, lead to a cure. It's like a chain reaction. So it's like
Yeah.
that is just my mission to bring exposure to the disease so that, ultimately it can guide us to a cure someday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I think that's every rare disease
yep.
mama's journey,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're like, look, look
I
at
know.
this.
We're like,
Like,
help us. Like somebody,
yeah.
please.
But it is so important because, like you were saying, I don't really know what people did before social media. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess like, conferences and things existed, but in
Yeah.
terms of awareness and like what you see out there, like social media has really opened my eyes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of one of
Yeah.
my goals too, with like still sharing Gilbert's stuff. First, it was primarily for medication approval, but now I'm like,
Yeah.
there are so many families I've connected with. Like, if you follow Gilbert's account, like, hey, how would you follow this account? Like, why don't you learn
Yeah.
about this disease? Like,
Yeah.
fundraise here. Like, there's so
Yes.
many. If we all just like work together and pull together,
100%.
like, it's more awareness for everyone.
Yeah.
Um, okay, last question. Um, what do you feel like has been something good that's come out of this journey for you? Because I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
hard, but is there
No, there's a lot
anything?
of
Yeah.
hard, but there's a lot of good. Just the connections that we've made with these
Yeah.
other families, like those are unbreakable bonds that will carry us through this lifetime. And just the perspective change too,
Hmm.
like don't sweat the small stuff, just a huge change in like what's important in life. Like, it's all about just love and experience and connections. And all my other little worries that I used to worry about, several years ago, they do not play a part in my life anymore. Like
Hmm.
it's almost, and this sounds weird, but like a relief to like let go of just things that don't matter and
Yes.
just focus
Yes.
on what truly matters in life. And like that,
Mhm.
it just opens your eyes to that. So it's not
Mhm.
all bad, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree. It's a huge
Yeah.
perspective shift. And I wish more people like could experience that or understand that, like
Yeah.
obviously without the
Yes.
life-changing diagnosis, right?
Right?
You
If
know,
we can
but
all just get to where we are.
yeah, but it does.
Yeah,
It
no, I
really
agree.
pushes away
Yeah.
the unnecessary things,
Yeah.
and really makes clear like this is what is important.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yep.
Well, it was like so nice to talk to you, and thank you
Yeah,
for
of
sharing so
course.
many wonderful things. Because yeah, like this is, for me, like one of the best things that's come out of this is like
Yeah.
getting to talk to other parents and getting to connect and learn, and
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree. I
just
agree.
like wasn't even on my radar before, and I'm like, man,
No.
yeah, I wish it was. I wish I had known more
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
because
I
it's
know.
there's a whole world, there's a whole rare disease world out there that so
There
many
sure
people just
is.
don't know about.
No, they
But
don't. They don't. Yeah.
yeah, all right. Well, you can bring Gilbert over here. Gilbert
Let me
woke up
see
from his
Mr.
nap.
Gilbert
Yeah, you can say hi before we go. Oh
and all his little teeth that are coming in.
my gosh, so many
That
teeth.
poor kiddo. That
I
must have
bet
been
you.
so painful. Oh my
Oh, do you
God.
want to say hi?
Ew. Hi.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you again for chatting and taking
Of
time.
course.
And
Anytime.
yeah, I mean, I will be anxiously awaiting all the Japan
Yeah.
documentation
Yeah,
because it
yeah,
sounds
yeah.
so
It's
cool.
coming. It's coming.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll
Touch.
definitely, yeah, we'll be in touch. We'll see you
Yeah,
on the gram.
for sure. For sure. If you ever want to do this again, or just call or just talk,
All
whatever.
right.
I'm here.
All right. Well,
All
thanks again,
right.
Laurel.
Yep. Have a good day.
Bye.